You know poetry dropping where the pen clicks and poets get it popping with the pen click. You're now rocking with Kuya David, the pen click prime minister, out here with my brother Daniel. He's the chubby fat god. And we are the Pen Click, a poetry podcast where we invite amazing poets who perform their poetry, share their stories, and speak their truths.
And season 2 is a wrap.
We out here.
Two times.
Hell yeah.
We're gearing up for season 3, raising funds, hustling, booking poets. We got some really big, exciting names. But until then, we're going to keep you guys up with all kinds of new fun content.
Yeah, we're gonna keep you guys entertained, so don't worry, the Pen Click ain't gonna leave you all. So be sure to especially follow us on both YouTube and on Instagram at Pen Click, PENCLIQUE, where we are doing all types of fun things with poetry. We're doing poetry prompts, poetry reviews. We might be doing a two-piece combo here and there. You never know. So please stay engaged with us because we are still out here. And by the way, one of those things we're gonna be doing throughout the off season are swap casts.
A swap cast is where 2 different podcasts swap episodes. So we're going to send the homies an episode, they're going to send us an episode, and then we'll put them up on our respective feeds.
And today we are presenting all the way out from England, UK, London in the building. Hold tight, all the man them out there. And of course, it is from Henry the God with Words Spoken. And you know, I reached out to this guy because we share a lot in mission, in which it is to expose people to the dopeness of poetry and to show y'all and dope poets from everywhere, from all types of walks of life, to showing y'all that poetry is something for everybody around the world, international. You know what it is.
We're gonna try and reach out to more podcasts like it, but yeah, you'll see more of this from us, things like this, because yeah, it's super dope. We want to put other people on that are doing similar things, and they certainly are, right? Like, let's display poetry in the best way possible.
And on this episode of Words Spoken, we have Sarah Callaghan, dope poet. I hope I didn't butcher her name, but please enjoy the episode. It's a very dope podcast format. It's essentially like Threads and Lines, only a whole podcast of Threads and Lines, where the poet performs 3 pieces of poetry and they also explain the story of each poem.
Yeah, check them out. Go check out Words Spoken. Follow them. Subscribe to them. Tell a friend about Pen Click. Subscribe to us. All of that. Yeah.
Hello, this is episode 8 of Words Spoken. I'm your host, Henry. Thank you for tuning in. Before I tell you a little bit about Sarah Callaghan, who's coming onto the show this week, I just want to briefly say, please give us a follow on Instagram at Words Spoken Podcast. Head over to YouTube to catch one of the performances you're about to hear. And also we're going to upload that onto IGTV as well. Episode 8. This is going to be the last episode before Christmas. So I hope everyone has a lovely Christmas. There's going to be a couple weeks off and then we'll be back kicking into things in January. So don't you worry. So this week we've got Sarah Callaghan coming onto the show. I am so excited to get her on. Can't even tell you. I first saw her live a year ago at a So Far Sounds, and ever since then I've been a massive fan of her work and I've been following her progress, and when she agreed to come on the show I was absolutely buzzing about it. So yeah, really glad that she's done that, so I'm very thankful to her. If you don't already know, Sarah is a comedian as well as a spoken word artist. Her work is often a reflection of her everyday life. She deals with topics such as childhood trauma, heartbreak, self-growth. She uses pain as fuel to create work that inspires and performances you will not forget. And the 3 she's about to do for us on the show today are, trust me, they are no exception to that rule. We get to hear 3 pieces: How Do You Feel, Untitled Never Lost, and Numbers. 2 of those tracks, the last 2, are actually part of her EP, which has just come out, called Jacob's Ladder, which is out now on all streaming platforms, so make sure you go and check that out. She's also got 2 books out, and if you want to go and get those, you can head to her website, which is www.sarahcallaghan.com. So yeah, well worth checking that out. Yeah, this is a great episode. She is a lot of fun to have a conversation with. She also shows a lot of love for other poets on the scene and other nights. So I'm going to tag all of you guys in the post to make sure that you can all see that. But this first piece is called How Do You Feel?
Through childhood trauma and suppressed emotions, I used to cry oceans so vast in hope that past experiences would drown. Salty pillows never felt good, however many times I turned them over. Even on the up, my mind pulled me down. They say I should call myself a queen, but I can't find my crown. These towns seem to suck colours from me like an emotional hoover. Changing gears constantly in order to survive, you gotta manoeuvre. Relationships so toxic, the fumes almost finish me off. You can let yourself die from a broken heart or try and glue back the pieces, but the black dog consumes me whether I like it or not. Pain lingers in moments that I've forgotten, like to surprise me on quiet days when you can hear a pin drop, the clock stops. I wish I had a hand to pull me out of this mess. Untangle the cables that fester in my head. Switch the electricity off by the mains, reboot the thing, it'd be better than the pain. But because it ain't physical, we can't see you. No. You have to have 3 attempts of suicide before we see you. Well, fuck you. I'm an invisible prisoner, no one can afford the bell. Holes in my boat and rips in my cell. No fixed abode, I don't receive any mail, even though I sit and wait for letters that never come. Texts that don't come through. A father's love that I never knew. Eyes tired, but the devil doesn't let me sleep. Why can't he just love me? Why can't I just love me? Trapped in this purgatory of self-destruct or recovery, the struggle is real. Not a penny to my name, it makes it harder to heal. I'm Phantom of the Opera out here, masking it all, but behind closed doors, my head's bouncing off the wall. But if you meet me, I'm cool. He says he loves being in my company. He don't know me. He hasn't seen all the sides that I'm embarrassed to be. Like, if you can handle me on a bad day, then I know you're legit. And if it all goes up in flames, then we can just call it quits. Worries hang heavy on my shoulders, pushing me down into this concrete jungle. On the bright side, it's making me humble. I got reviewed last year saying I'm fame hungry. Are you mental? That is the last thing on my mind. I'm being gentle with it. Anxiety got me locked up for days. I'm moving funny. Ain't losing any weight, but always seem to be running. Billing, zoots and bunning. I can feel myself tumbling into something more sinister. Hands blistered from scrabbling to the top. I'm running out of letters to spell out to you the problems that I've got. Repetition is my friend, but every time she speaks, it's not what I've heard before. Occasionally showing me the open door in the hope I get the courage to walk through. Fingers crossed, I hope I do too. For I've not seen the light in so long, but I have faith that it's there. Like people believe in a God they've never seen but still live in prayer. I'm scared, but I'm not done yet. With or without him, I'm bigger. They hold the gun, but I control the trigger. No more L's around here. My future says winner. I'll keep walking through hell until the fog becomes clearer. All I need is the light. The fire still burns inside of me, even though it's a flicker. And I ain't tapping out until all of my dreams have delivered.
Sarah Callaghan.
Hello.
Thank you so much for that first piece.
No worries.
And also thank you for coming down to Word Spoken. That was a really nice piece. That was lovely. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that piece? Let's just jump straight on in. I just want to hear about it. It was really awesome.
Thank you. It was like one of the first sort of poems that I wrote. I was in a really bad place and I was sort of in that headspace of in this dark cloud, but also like, nah, I'm not letting this beat me, you know?
Yeah.
And so I wrote it and I actually didn't think I'd be performing it, but then I ended up like learning it because I was just, you know, like you rewrite stuff and you edit and you read it over and over again. So I was like, well, it's in my head. I might as well perform it. And then when I started performing it, people just liked it and could really connect to it. So I just kept doing it.
Yeah, nice. So look, I think as well, what we also should do here is give a bit of a backstory here because you are a comedian as well as a spoken word artist. So do you want to tell us a little bit about how you started out as a comedian first and then we'll go on to when you got into spoken word?
So I actually I fell into...
you have a real smile on your face when I asked you that question.
No, it's because I've just been asked it like so many times.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But no, it's all cool. It's all good because...
Summarise it quickly and then we'll just like...
Yeah, I fell into it basically and I never like wanted to be a comic in it, but I was really depressed when I left school because I had no sense of purpose. I didn't know where I was going.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find a job and so I ended up just booking this comedy course as just something to do and something to fill my time and give me a focus. So did that, finished the course, you did a little showcase at the end. And then I wasn't really going to like carry it on. But then my teacher, the guy that taught me, he was like, I think you should. I think you're good. Maybe
Yeah.
like here's some open mics. Just hit them up, see how you feel, innit? So I started doing that, and then within 6 months I was signed, and then I started getting paid, and then I was like, okay, well,
wow.
this is my job then, innit?
This is what I do.
Yeah. And then I had like little jobs and stuff on the side up until about 5 years ago when I went full time with the comedy, and it's just been a journey. 10 years later, I'm still here, man. It's mad.
So then what led you then to get into spoken word?
Depression again, like that's the thing. It's funny, like depression's actually done me loads of favors in life. I can't ever look back on it as a bad thing. But I came out of a really, really abusive, toxic relationship, and I had a few like career knockbacks and stuff, and I just fell into this deep hole really, and I just started writing for therapy and just getting my feelings out. It was just a really good way of expressing what I was about, because I couldn't afford like actual therapy at the time. And and then I used to go to a lot of like conscious nights. So
wait, what's that?
Conscious stuff, like where people are talking about like the world and like spirituality, and I did like a lot of sound healing classes and meditation. And at the end of these sort of like really lovely safe spaces, they sometimes do open mic where you can get up and just talk about something or sing a song, play an instrument, do a poem. And my mate was like, oh yeah, she's got a poem. And I'm like, nah, I haven't. I haven't. And everyone's going, yeah, please, this is a safe space, please. We welcome you to the stage. We please share with us. And I'm like, I'm not embarrassed to getting on stage, innit? It's the content. I'm not scared of the stage, but it's the first time in my life where it's just me, and you're so vulnerable. Like poetry is so vulnerable, and it's so different to comedy where you're wearing a mask and everything's a joke, and it's like,
Yeah, so
it's hard.
That was 100% what I wanted to ask you, right? Is it must feel a completely like separate thing to go through when you're a spoken word artist and when you're a comic. So yeah, would you maybe go into that? Like why, what other aspects of it do you feel are really separated from comedy? Because you said when you're on stage and you're being funny, right? You wear kind of like an armor. As you said, you wear like a mask. When you're on stage and the first time you did it, you were just being raw, honest, and it was poetry. What was that experience like for you?
It was very strange in terms of the flow. Like when you tell jokes, there's a certain patter that you have in terms of the way you speak and the comic timing and things like that. So me learning my flow in poetry and how I was going to say it, because there's so many different types of poets. Like some rhyme, some don't rhyme, some do fast, some are, you know what I mean? So I was just like finding my voice in that area. It was really weird. But in terms of the scene is just, because there's no competition really, and it is all just about love, and everyone's super supportive. And there are a lot of, I've got a lot of mates in comedy, and the comedy scene is great, but I mean, it's very competitive, and there's dark sides of the industry. But whereas poetry, I felt like I could just relax. I was like, oh, I'm here. Like I'm not in competition with anyone. I ain't got a bum lick a promoter to get another gig. Like it's all just open mic. You can roll up, sign up. There's no hierarchy. And like, even if you're shit, everyone still applauds you and is so nice. Whereas if you die at a comedy gig, like people won't even look at you after. Like they can't even make any eye contact with you.
It must be savage.
It's probably yeah. So for me, I think that's why people thought, oh, you're so confident already, because I'm like, this is nothing. Like this is nothing, man. Like
must have been a walk in the park.
Yeah. Once I found my voice, it has been, and not to sound arrogant, but I think just because I've had 10 years of stage time and in so many different situations, work in men's clubs, big theatres, pubs, comedy clubs, you know what I mean? So for me to go on a stage where there's like 30 people there, all just my age, all cool, all a bit broken, but willing to listen, I was like, wow, this is sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's been good.
So when was that first time that you did spoken words? How long have you been doing it?
Like it was about 2 years ago.
Yeah, see, that is because you like you are. I don't want to blow smoke at your ass, but you're so good. Blow it. You must know you're very good. And you've only been doing it for 2 years, and that is like mind-boggling how like far you've come in that time. I guess what I would want to know really, this is just from a selfish point of view. I just want to know this. How do you approach the writing process, and how does that differ to comedy? Because I imagine with comedy, and in fact, I have no idea how you write comedy. But how do those two different writing processes vary? Like, what's the difference?
Wow, they're like super different, man. I'd say with comedy, it's always like you start off like with an idea. So I just write notes in my phone, and then you go home and you develop it. But a joke can be expanded and changed. So it's like you'll write the joke, you go to a gig, it might be funny, it might not be.
Yeah.
Or you could change a word, or like I said, put like a pause in a certain area to make it funny, and that evolves over time. You know, number of gigs, you go to new material nights, and you sort of like bed it in, and then it becomes this set that's bulletproof. You know what I mean? Whereas poetry, for me, I just write it. Like I literally just write it. I very rarely go back and edit.
Really? So
yeah, it just
most
comes
of your work
out and
is
then
like
boom.
First time, that's how it is.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's mad. Like it's I don't know where it comes from, innit? It just comes out, and then so it's a lot easier process, I must say. And
Right.
also just going up there, and plus obviously you can like read it from your phone, and that's totally acceptable.
Which you can't do that in comedy.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's
That
like you've got to
kills it.
learn it. It's just like a way more harder process. That's why, you know, comedy is such a hard, I mean, all the creative art forms, I don't think there's a hierarchy, but it's a very hard art form.
Yeah.
Because, and you're instantly judged. Like if it's not funny, then you're shit. Whereas it's like a poem, it's up for interpretation. you know
Yeah,
what I'm
and
saying?
like also I think you only have to tell one bad joke and the room will sink.
Yeah, it's hard to
Whereas
get
if
them
a
back.
line in your poem, whatever, doesn't quite hit as hard, like the room doesn't sink. Like, do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't just drop.
Exactly.
Have you? I mean, this is probably a harsh question. Have you had any really tough nights where something like maybe you're trying out new stuff and it just didn't work in the comedy scene?
Oh my God. Yeah, loads.
Yeah.
Loads, man. Fucking hell. Like,
What like was your coping mechanism?
Oh,
what
God.
is the way out of that?
well, I've been through stages. Like I was 18 when I come in the game, so it's like I've sort of grown up in comedy and, you know, matured in on and off stage. So when in the beginning I was very angry, so
Yeah.
I would just shout at the audience, which is what you should never do. It just like alienates everyone. And then I went through a stage of just running it into the ground. So it's like even if they didn't like me, I would just do it. I'm like, fuck it, I'm doing my set, I'm not changing for you. And then now it's like you have to kind of read the room, and you know, if they're not really liking the swearing, hold back on the swearing, or you know, if they're not really liking the jokes, if there's a bit of a weird vibe, maybe go into a bit of crowd work.
Yeah.
So every night is different. It's mad.
Yeah. So when you first started doing spoken word, what were the nights that you went to? Like which ones did
Boxed
you
In.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
What did you start there?
Yeah, because I'm really good mates with Sean Mahoney, actually.
Okay.
So he was my first ever friend in comedy, my first ever like proper open mic I went to. He was there because he was doing stand-up at the time as well.
Oh, okay. I
And then he
didn't know
kind
that
of
about
went back into like killing the poetry scene, but he's obviously very humorous within his poetry.
Yeah.
And then it was mad because then going into poetry, he was the first person that gave me my poetry gig as well. So it's like he always comes back round. It was mad. He came and supported me my EP launch. He did a support slot, and it was a beautiful moment. But so I used to go there. Word on the Street.
Which is stopped running now. Am I right?
Is it? Has it?
I think Fisky said last week that.
Oh,
it's still running
shit.
And maybe I've got that confused
That's a
with
shame.
another night, but I've heard. But I've heard that was like.
Oh, it was live. Yeah. Mind Over Matter. Yeah, I know Fisky very well. Used to go there. Rise Up, which is great. He runs by a guy called Poet Curious, who's sick. Big up. And Imaginary Millions as well. I like hitting up that place.
So we did a chat about this prior to the podcast. Tell us a little bit about that night, because that sounds like I've never been myself. I've heard
so
about
sick.
it. It sounds sick.
That's
the way to put it.
It is.
Tell us a little bit about that night.
So it's a band headed by a guy called Rob Major, and they basically just play music, and it's just an open mic where there's no sign up. The mics are on, and you can just go up and grab it whenever you like.
Yeah.
It's a super relaxed vibe. It's not like everyone's like running for the mic. It's like you let people have their time, and it's you do your piece. And some people that don't do stuff with music, it's such an amazing experience. That's basically Imagine Millions was the moment I realised, right, I want to start putting music to my stuff.
Yeah.
It was such a light bulb moment for me because it's so surreal, because obviously the words you're saying are so hard hitting, but when you add tones and different beats behind that, it just elevates it all like so much. And it's just so sick, and everyone there's so nice. And I ended up going to Amsterdam with them and performing on the canal in Amsterdam.
No.
Yeah, it was like,
that's wicked.
yeah, it was incredible, man. But and they're all so supportive and so lovely. And if you get a chance to go down there, get down there.
Is it a monthly thing?
Yeah, it's every first Sunday of every month.
I really want to head down. It sounds absolutely
the
amazing.
musicians are like so talented, man, and also other musicians can get up as well.
Yeah.
So if you play sax and you just want to jam with the band, you can do that, and they really encourage you to like jam with people. I did it before. I was doing my piece and this bird just got up and started playing saxophone, and I was like, fuck, like it sort of threw me a little bit, but then once you get into it, it's sick. And like rappers go down there and they just freestyle. Like it reminds me of like a sort of like underground New York sort of hip hop
I'm like
scene.
imagining like a movie set.
Yeah, it's like low ceiling, like it's banging. It's probably, one of my most favourite nights.
Oh, wicked. Cool, look, there's loads I want to ask you about, and I want to talk about your EP, which we'll get to in a minute. But firstly, let's have a little chat about your second piece that you're going to do.
Okay.
So, talking about putting music to your work, this next piece, well, the next two pieces have music behind. Do you want to, is there a bit of a preamble you want to do to this piece, or do you want to jump straight on in? Completely your choice.
Well, I think it's the most I've ever worked on a track, and it was just for fun, really. I wrote the piece and I really liked it, and then I thought, because I was around so many musicians and stuff, and I was making so many contacts, and so many people wanted to collab with me. I've collabed with so many people this year, which has been amazing and such a good learning thing for me. I was like, all right, fuck it, let's just chuck in all my resources and let's do it. So I ended up making the beat. I didn't make it. This guy called Sam Durham, who's my brother-in-law, made the beat. Then he played guitar over the top of it and piano. And then I got a guy in to play saxophone. And then I was like, oh, this would be sick with a chorus. So I reached out to this singer that I knew, and she wrote a chorus for it. And then so it's like piece per piece, we put it all together. And I was like, fuck, this is like an actual tune. And then after that, I was like, I'm going to make an EP. And then, it all just came together. So, it's probably the hardest I've ever worked on a piece. Yeah,
her like voice on this track is amazing.
Oh my god!
It's
and Tony
amazing.
Offender, book her, please. Like she is like insane. I definitely want to work with her again. Yeah, she's sick.
Look, well, I cannot wait to hear it on Word Spoken. So I think we just jump straight on in.
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. So this is Sarah Callaghan with Untitled Never Lost.
I was lost, but ironically found myself in the depths of the darkness. Fumbling around in the dark, I felt the handle of the door and pushed it open, feeling the catharsis. Even with my eyes closed, I can see the sparks flying, I have no limits. Possibilities are endless, you can't tell me I'm finished. I will keep pushing forward until your tortured noise is diminished. Don't mistake this for arrogance, it's called confidence. This is exactly what I envisaged. Show business is tough. First you're a hotshot, then forgotten about in minutes. It's up to you to keep it fresh. Fuck the critics trying to hang shit reviews around your neck. Your character assassination will not affect my checks, cause I know who I am. Authentic to the bone. The soul of a punk, I'll flip you the finger whilst eating ice cream cones. I'm a oxymoron, I'm awfully good. I'm a serious joke, I'm suburb, I'm hood. Through my depression I found love for my art, and that's priceless. Like a pinball machine, I'm pinging everywhere using my creative license. Something that can never be revoked. You can't steal this from me, you can't touch it, so don't approach. I've learnt the power of saying no. I bask in the freedom of letting shit go. Living like an elephant, I don't forget. I remember all the compliments, the good guys, and I definitely remember the bad. It's sad, people take joy from bringing people down. A reflection of their own insecurities, glorified clowns. I thought I was lost, but ironically found myself in the depths of the darkness. Fumbling around in the dark, I felt the handle of the door and pushed it open, feeling the catharsis. I'm happy, it's been such a long time, and all I want to do is help people through the fog and expose the sunshine. I thought the light was from an oncoming train, but it really was the end of the tunnel. I'm here to give you strength, you don't have to crumble. Not preaching, not claiming to have all the answers, but you gotta believe change comes from these chances. Give yourself the chance to feel alive. If I can do it, anybody can. Time is of the essence, I said. Time is of the essence, it's of the essence. So let's just be present and enjoy your ascent into greatness. Feeling weightless, digging deep. We can all be courageous.
Cool. Oh, Sarah. Whoa. That was really nuts. that was such a wicked piece. Look, so that was taken from your EP entitled Jacob's Ladder.
Yep.
So I feel like we've got to talk about your EP now. So let's talk about it, because I've been tuning in this past couple of days and it is a banger.
Oh,
like,
thank
I'm not
you,
even
man.
joking.
Thank you. That means a lot.
They're all really, really good tracks. Tell us a little bit about. You kind of mentioned it in, just now, but tell us a bit about what led you to making the EP and like what each track kind of means to you, I guess.
Well, yeah, it was just about, I'd been like awakened to music and being around all these different musicians and different sorts of poets, and I saw other people doing them and I was like, I can do that. You know what I mean? It's one of them ones I feel like, well, if they can do it, I can do it. And I love so many poets that do stuff to music, like Kate Tempest and Caleb Femi and all these other sorts of artists, obviously George the Poet, and I was really inspired by all their stuff. So I was like, okay, let's do it. And comedy, basically, like every year, well, most comics, they go to Edinburgh and do an Edinburgh show for the Fringe Festival. So last year, because at the beginning of that year, I was like really depressed. I was like, do you know what? I'm not having any stress. I'm not going to go Edinburgh. So I wasn't preparing for an Edinburgh show, which usually takes up your entire year. Yeah. So I was like, I've got this time in my hands. I'm gigging loads. I might as well do a project to keep me focused. And, it was therapy for me. So I just put it all together, and I didn't think I'd be able to do it, but I did it. And and it's like probably the best thing I've created this year, man.
So with the EP, you also had a launch party, right? So tell us about how that, I'm so sorry I couldn't come to it.
Oh, it's all good,
Tell
man.
us a little bit about how that night went.
Oh man,
It
you
looked
don't understand.
amazing. It looked nuts.
I was so fucking stressed, like the lead up to it was crazy, like because I had a live band performing with me, right? And there was 4 of them, bass player, guitar player, keys and drums, and obviously we're all very busy, all got busy lives, so it was really hard to like organise everyone. I did it all on my own, like I literally had no help, like poster, finding all the band, organising them all, finding the venue, do like everything, right? And so I was super stressed, so we actually only have managed to get 1 rehearsal in. What? 2 weeks before the event. So I'm like messaging everyone, like trying not to be a bitch, but I'm like, I beg all of you, remember your separate bits, because if everyone has got their shit together and their separate bits, then it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
So they were like taking notes during the rehearsal and stuff, and the rehearsal went sick, but I was like, now it's in 2 weeks, like I'm scared that they're going to like go off and like forget bits and whatever. Anyway, so super stressed, like obviously inviting people. I didn't know who's going to come. I used my mate's warehouse in Tottenham, which was a super cool venue, man.
Yeah,
and
like the photos and stuff look nuts.
Yeah, it was sick. And so that was really handy. And so I was just like scared no one's going to come. Like whenever you put a show on, you're like, oh, no one's going to come. And so I was stressed about that. And then that's the wine.
The red wine is coming back up.
I'm just a normal person, guy.
Relatable, I like it.
Yeah. So we got in. We had like a sort of like warm up rehearsal and stuff, and I started to get like more relaxed. And then my support act came. I had Sky God, Amari Daniel, who's fucking amazing. Black Score. Yeah, he was sick. And Sean Mahoney. So like then they came, and I was like, right, cool. And there's maybe about 20 people there, which for me is not really good enough. But time was ticking. I was thinking, fuck, like we're just gonna have to go. We're just gonna have to start it.
Yeah.
So we started it, and all good. And then like they were like smashing it. Everyone was like really supportive, really nice. We had like, all these sofas laid out, and then people sitting on like pillows and stuff at the front and standing at the back. And there was like everyone sort of dotted around. Anyway, I'm sitting there like biting my fingernails, thinking, oh, I wanted this room to be packed. Like I'm such a perfectionist, and it wasn't going the way that I wanted it to. And then I was getting nervous. Like my mum was there and shit, and a load of comics turned up to watch me, which was again really nerve wracking. And anyway, my mate tapped me on the shoulder. And I turned around and the whole room was full. I don't know how they'd all just like came, like they were just like filtered in slowly. And I was like, fuck. And it was just like rammed. I couldn't believe it. And I only knew about quarter of the people that were there. So there was all just word of mouth and different people that had like heard about it and friends of friends and whatever. So I was like, shit, right, game on. I've got to really fucking step up like and do a good performance now. And then we had a little break after support acts, and I came back, and oh my God, it was just magical what happened, man. It was amazing. The love was just insane, and people really dug what I was doing, and yeah, it was nice. It was probably the highlight of my year for sure.
What would you say then? Because I've obviously had a chat with lots of poets on the scene and stuff, and not everyone has yet put their stuff to music and put an EP out. What is the hardest thing about it? Like, what was the biggest challenge for you?
Oh, just organising everyone, man.
Yeah.
Messaging, waiting for messages back. Obviously, I had to pay everyone as well, so that's financially quite straining. And you know, I'm constantly gigging and constantly working and stuff. So, and it's all coming out of my own pocket. You know, a few favours, a few mates' rates, but you know, I spent fuckload of money this year on artists, and I feel like it's not been to waste.
Yeah.
But that's it's definitely a thing that stresses me out. And it's just communication, man. And most of the people on my team are quite good at it, but I get so stressed, man, when people don't like message back in like 2 days. I'm like, fucking come on, you know what I mean? Because I just get really stressed. So I'd say that's definitely the hardest. Like, I can't wait to get to a stage where, because I've got an agent in comedy. I can't wait to get an agent in this side of things, just to kind of take that load off me, because it stops me from focusing on what I'm doing and, you know, rehearsing and practicing, because I need to just focus on me. And if I'm trying to delegate all these jobs and all these different things, it's really hard, man. So yeah, I'd say that's probably the toughest aspect.
So I guess in your kind of poetry side of things, you're very much like a one-man band a bit with all of that. That must be that must be pretty intense.
I don't think people understand like how much fucking work I've put in, and like it's and what's gone on behind the scenes, and plus gigging, plus traveling all over the country doing shows, plus dealing with my own mental health. It was a lot. It was a lot, and I can't believe I've got through it, really. But then again, it's been a really good focus for me, because I'm starting proper therapy in January, and I feel like, it would have been a different story this entire year if I didn't have these things to keep me focused and keep me pushing forward. So, and I've created, you know, I've got 2 books out and an EP, so it's been a good year. You know?
Wait, were like both those books in this year?
One last year, one this year.
Nice.
But it's part of a trilogy, so the third one will come out next year.
Oh, hello. Yeah. Like it. So look, I guess my next kind of question then is, you've basically done this as like a one man band. That's very, very impressive.
Thanks.
Like, that's absolutely mental. What advice would you give yourself starting out in spoken word, or do you feel like you've pretty much done it the way you wanted to do it?
Yeah, I've pretty much, yeah.
I guess because you had the background with comedy, right? You kind of set up for...
Yeah, I had a lot of wisdom from different various mistakes I'd made in my comedy journey and stuff, and just, just main things, you know, that I did, which I would tell anyone else to do if they were coming. It's just network, be nice to everyone, chit chat to everyone, you know, just gig all the time, always be seen, be very present on social media, and just write all the time, and just, you know, learn and get out there, basically. But the biggest thing for me has been networking. I wouldn't have been able to put the EP together if I hadn't done all that. And it's not even like it needs to be fake. Like, all the people that I work with are genuine friends, and it's been amazing, you know? Yeah,
that is something I've kind of seen, really, is that the scene itself is an amazing place to network. You meet people from all different walks of life, all like, you know, there's loads of different skills that people have. Everyone brings their own thing. And because it's in that place where everyone's very supportive of one another, you're all opening up your hearts each night on a microphone in front of them.
Super vulnerable.
People, and like, people really do support one another. And I guess when it comes to something like launching your own EP, that's something that you later then end up really needing. Which is really cool. Is that something that isn't really the case in the comedy world?
Oh my God, for sure, man. Like, it's fucking mad. Like, everyone just puts on an act. Like, even off stage, it's like, there's been times where like I've like not liked a certain person for years. I've always been like, oh, that guy's on the bill, fuck that guy, man. And then we'll go, because I do a lot of music festivals, so you'll end up so, you know, you only really get to know comics if you stay after for a drink, which is always hard for me because I live in West London, and also I'm like, I want to go home to bed, man. I'm not fucking sitting around with a load of comedians having a drink. Music festivals are when you travel away, like when you do a tour, or you're somewhere where you're in a hotel for 3 days, where it's like you have to hang out. You know, you got to get food together, you got to have a drink together, because you're only just going back to the hotel. You know what I mean? So there's been comedians that I've never really liked for various reasons, and then we'll get like off nut together, like either at a festival or like we'll stay after a gig and have a few drinks, and then you start learning about them, and I'm like, oh, actually, you're a really nice person.
Yeah.
But it's because I've had it with me as well. I've had it so many times where people said to me, oh, you actually like sound. I'm like, well, yeah, like, but you just don't know how you're being perceived. You know, if I go to a gig, boom, 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 and then I shoot, people like, you know, you don't know what people's opinion of you is. So now, since being like that and having so many revelations with comedians, and I've even said to them, I was like, fucking hell, man, I used to hate you back in the day. And they were like, really? I'm like, yeah, but you're... And now we're like really good mates. We can laugh about it. Like knowing that and going on the poetry scene where everyone is just instantly so transparent, instantly so vulnerable. Like they tell their stories. There's no hidden agenda. There's no like fakeness at all. I'm transferring that into comedy now, which is beautiful, because now I'm being more open with comics. So I'm making more friends on that scene. Even though I've been in the game for 10 years, a lot of people know me, but now they're getting closer to me because I'm exposing more of myself. And that was the scariest thing about the transition into the other side was I was scared, because I've built up this reputation on the circuit as this like hard girl, like, you know, and now they're seeing all these different aspects, and I was so scared. But actually a lot of them have reached out to me and messaged me or talked to me in person and said, well, it's beautiful, because now I feel like I'm getting to know you all over again. And it's so nice. So it's just been such, when a lot of people overuse the term like journey, but for me this year has been an incredible journey in so many different, creatively, personally, spiritually, professionally. It's insane. It's been mad.
And you also travel around the country a lot, right? You go pretty much everywhere. So how often are you traveling out of London and like go into the corners of the country?
all the time.
That must
like,
be
Leamington Spa, fucking Kettering, Corby, Manchester, Liverpool, like everywhere, man. I'm in Budapest this weekend, isn't it? Like, doing gigs out there and all over the place. It's mad. Like sometimes you go to a place, I'm like, I have never heard of this place in my fucking life. Like Wales, like everywhere, man. I go to Scotland a lot, obviously, and it's so.
Do you hate traveling, or can you kind of like are you used to it now?
I'm used to it. I'm just used to it. I don't mind. It depends what gig it is and where it is. If it's like long to get to, like 5 trains, you know what I mean? I'm just like, oh, for fuck's sake. But like if you're on like a really good bill, like all the acts are like your mates, like and then you're excited, you're like, oh, I can't wait to get there and hang out with these guys, or if it's certain gigs where you always get treated nicely, like the Stand in Newcastle. I love going down there. Because they give you stay into a really nice hotel, which is next door, so you don't have to walk far, and like the staff are lovely, the gigs are always lovely, it's good money, and like they feed you and stuff like that, and it's usually decent bills and shit. So it's like gigs like that, I don't mind travelling all the way to Newcastle, because it's worth it, you know what I mean? But I'm just used to it, man. It doesn't really faze me anymore.
I bet you're used to it. Which like music festivals have you done?
Fucking hell, I've done loads. Lost Village Festival, I've done Kendall Calling, I've done Bestival, I've done Llama Tree.
How have you done?
Latitude, I've done that twice.
Glastonbury?
No, that is my aim for 2020. It's on my vision board. I'm fucking there, bruv. I'm not joking.
I couldn't get one this year. I was trying through the coach things, through the whatever. Couldn't get one. And someone told me the other week, whatever, it's like, you know that there's like a kind of an open mic kind of thing with spoken word artists, and you can send in your stuff. And if you get on the bill, what? I didn't know about that. Why didn't I know about that?
It's hard, man. I don't know. I even applied for the.
I
was trying to be cheeky. I applied for their. They've got the what's it called? Undiscovered something, Glastonbury something.
Yeah.
But it's for like singers, really. So I applied for that. I was like, well, if I go there with my band, then maybe I can like sneak in like that way. But I never heard back from that. But I'm just trying to try and build up my following and just go and like get booked, like actually booked for it. But we'll see. I've got my eyes set on either next year or the year after.
It's got to happen, doesn't it?
Hopefully, man. Yeah.
Have like you ever been there as like just as a
I went there as a punter in 2014.
It's the best,
it was. I mean, a lot of fucking people in there. I was because I love music in it, so I was a bit pissed off that like you have to sacrifice certain bands because you just literally won't make it to the stage in time.
It's mental, isn't it?
So that annoyed me because I'm like, well, it's a music festival and I'm actually not getting what I want out of it musically. Like I could go to any field and do drugs in it. Like, so I was like, that was the only other thing that annoyed me. But in terms of the vibe and like what it stands for and everything, amazing. Yeah.
It is next level.
Yeah.
Well, look, hopefully you're there this year performing.
Fingers crossed.
Next year, whenever it is.
Fingers crossed.
Because it's the 50th anniversary.
Is it?
This year, 2020, next year.
Big.
50th anniversary. It's going to be, Diana Ross is on the Sunday night. I'm like,
Dolly Parton was there when I was there. She was mad.
I'm like a disco whore. So like Diana Ross on a Sunday night.
Oh, amazing.
Literally sign me up.
Tell you what though, you can watch the highlights.
I always do. But do you know what? I watch it with so much pain. I watch it and like I'll normally know a couple of people there and I almost can't watch it live. I have to watch it afterwards.
Yeah.
It's painful. It's painful.
That's cool. You're into Diana Ross. Yeah.
All right, she's
sick.
fucking the best. Man. Look, time is flying by, and I want to I want to chat about your third piece. So, I've got it down. Numbers, right? Yeah, numbers. So, this piece, you know what? I actually don't think I've told you this, but I saw you at So Far Sounds. I've realised this since. About a year ago, and you performed this piece. I think I'm pretty sure because when I sent me the clip or when I listened to your EP, I was like, yeah. This is a really amazing piece. Why did you choose it last? I think I know the answer, but from your point of view,
it's my most probably well known one that I do, and just in terms of like wordsmithery, is that a word? Like it's just very like it's clever. I like all the different maths terminology that's in it. So I like it because none of my other pieces like that. It's more just like my feelings and whatever. There's not much like thought in terms of the actual words. Like a lot of the flow poets, they're such amazing wordsmiths. Their manipulation of phrases and double meanings and stuff is incredible. And like I feel like I don't have the brain capacity for that shit. But I
mean you clearly do.
Well, I came up with this concept and I was just like, right, if ever I'm in a situation when I need to whack out one of these ones so that people don't know I'm thick, then then I'll do this. And I love it, man. It always goes down well at gigs and stuff. And once I put the track to it, it's one of my favourite ones. So that's why I had it at the end.
It's it's a real treat that you've come down to perform this for us on Word Spoken. For everyone out there, watch the video that is going to be on IGTV and also on YouTube because you get to see this in video format. And if you've ever seen Sarah perform live, you might have seen this piece. You'll know how well she performs it, how amazing it is. And as she said, her wordplay in this is just next level. So I'm so glad. I kind of wanted you to do this one third. And then when you sent me the lineup, I was like, yes. Just because it's really great. So look, this is the third and final piece we're going to hear from Sarah. We'll have a quick chat afterwards. And then that's going to be it. But this is Numbers by Sarah Callaghan.
I've always been shit at maths. Born in 1991, numbers were never my bag. I couldn't grasp time, felt like it was slipping from me, and I always messed up the hands. It felt like sand, but instead of seeping through my fingers, it seeped through my brain. I couldn't get it, the information, I found it hard to retain, but numbers are everywhere, not just on a clock face. Prison codes, date of births, passports and stock takes, the number of candles on a cake, hours left that you spent counting down of your workday, bids going up on eBay, payday, time controls our movements and even how the seasons change. It's everywhere. It goes too fast when you want it to go in slow motion, and it stands still when we wish you could be driven away as fast as Lewis Hamilton in a McLaren. These moments keep ticking on. I've always been shit at maths. Teachers took the piss and were deliberately obtuse. Just because I couldn't understand the use of shapes, I'm sorry, but exterior angles never impressed me as much as what's inside our bodies. This case is 60% water anyway. Equations haven't fixed mental health, have they? People's symmetry is parallel until there's a solution. How can you tell that the process has been made? The male suicide rate is 75%. I don't swallow those numbers well. My workings out always seem to be wrong. However much I try and edit the spreadsheet in Excel. House prices worse down unless you're rich. Counting commas in your bank accounts won't fix the bridge in your nose from all the coke sniffed up it. 1Gs, 2Gs rolled up in banknotes, then pink 50s. Leave me leaning diagonal when they get pulled out. I I wish I was good at numbers now, but I've always been shit at maths. Until the day you left me. 7 weeks, 49 days, 8 hours and counting. Mine split into fractions, they're top heavy. Some days I feel like I'm drowning. Gravity spiraling, and every time I try to get a grasp on why, you're the common denominator. Sick of numbers, dates, facts and figures. We couldn't go the distance. I was in my prime, but a multiple of reasons led us here. Calculator smash, cause we couldn't work out the value of our love. I guess it wasn't enough, I cried parallel tears. A date frozen in time, to go along with the other significant moments that join up throughout your 100 years maximum on this earth. From birth, your days are numbered, so make them count. I'll always be shit at maths. But adding up the reasons why to get out of bed each morning shouldn't be a chore, it's a blessing. Round everything up, take your time to figure out the answers, there's no rush. Good friends are rarities, so you make sure you remember their birthdays when they roll round. Get a takeaway and divide it out. It's 2019, ask that girl for her digits. Grab every moment with 2 hands, don't let it slip, your beauty is limitless. I estimate stars in your future and sunshine in your dreams. To sum it up in one piece is sort of hard to achieve, but believe me, you don't need to be good at numbers to see that we are all kings and queens. You don't need the answers, keep them in the back of the book, cause look, numbers are infinite, we all need some, but let's not pretend. I said, numbers are infinite, we all need some, but let's not pretend. You know, everything works itself out in the end.
Oh, that was Numbers by Sarah Callaghan. That is a gorgeous piece.
Thank you.
That's so nice. One of my favourite lines in that, one that kind of picked out with me, is since birth your days are numbers, so make them count. Oh,
Yeah.
that is one of those lines, and I kind of mean this in a nice way. It's one of those lines that's so simple it's almost hard to write. Like we had this conversation with Benny Bruce on a few episodes back about George the poet's style.
Less is more, man.
Less is more.
For sure, yeah. I used to get really like embarrassed about that because when I went boxing, so obviously predominantly black, and they're all talking about like some like really serious like black issues and racism and talking about their ancestors and stuff like that. And it's like beautiful pieces and like in such depth and so eloquently in like the use of language. And I'm sitting there like, fucking hell, man! I've just got a poem about being like heartbroken or like like depressed, and I used to feel very self-conscious. I said it to Sean one time. I said, "Oh, I don't want to go on, man." He was like, "What are you talking about?" I said, I'm not like these lot. Like I'm so shit. Like what? How is what I've got to say mean any? It doesn't mean anything. Like it's just." And he was like, "Sarah, but you're doing something that none of these lot are doing. You're just being yourself and just going up there and talking from the heart, and that's what people want, innit?" So I was after that. Like Sean doesn't understand how much that comment has meant to me and actually led me to stand in my own. Stand in my own and be like, do you know what, boom, I'm just going to do what I want to do and say what I want to say. And like you said, like listen to George's poem, I'm like, why am I fucking bothered about this person that's doing all this shit when it's just like, he's just talking.
Yeah.
He's just talking and he makes it rhyme and just his flow and his voices and then the music, it's just like, it's all the other elements. And I think people just buy into the product of you, innit? It's like, obviously the words are important, it's poetry, but it's what are you trying to say? And like you said, sometimes you don't need to because sometimes you can get lost in the language. You know, like Russell Brand, he says something and he used all the big words. I'm like, bruv, what the fuck? Like, you could just say, I'm going to the shops, and he just says it in some mad, convoluted way. And I'm like, you know what I mean? So it's, yeah. I mean, it works for me somehow.
But less is more, like 100%. But yeah, it is, I think it shows real skill to do that, right? Because
I don't think so.
No, honestly it does. Well, no, because less can sometimes be less if it's not clever, you know. If you kind of see what I mean. So yeah, look, that numbers piece is really, really amazing.
Thanks, cheers.
It's so cool. So thank you for blessing us with that. Now we're kind of moving on to the last couple of questions. Time is flying by. What I want to ask you about is what we've kind of touched upon this, but what are your plans going forward for your spoken word? I kind of assume, obviously, with this EP out, you want people tuning into that.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But what are your plans going forward at this kind of stage for next year?
Well, I'm just going to still be gigging a lot, writing a lot.
Yeah.
I'm taking it's my 10-year anniversary in comedy, so I'm taking a big show back up to the Edinburgh Fringe. So I'm actually concentrating a lot on comedy next year, and I really have to put all my focus into that. So poetry-wise, in terms of just trying to push the album, not much, to be fair, although I do want to do a mini tour of the EP, like a show, like one show in Birmingham, one show in Bristol, one show in Liverpool, one show in Manchester, London. Just like a really like small sort of low-key tour. That's the only plan that I have in my head at the moment. But saying that, I have these sort of epiphanies and shit every day where I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm so impulsive, you know what I mean? I'm just like, oh, I'll do that, I'll do that. So, you know, if we chat again in maybe March, it might be a different story, innit?
But like another EP out, 4 books on the way, merchandise.
Innit? So at the moment, nothing. But yeah, possibly a tour, and yeah, just gigging, man, and writing a lot and trying to hit up as many nights as I possibly can in my free time. Yeah.
I mean, look, you are so hard working. It's actually like mental. Like if actually, yeah, let's do this. Where can people follow you on Instagram if they're not already?
My Instagram is at @Callaghan1.
Because on there you kind of often post what you've got coming up, right?
Yeah.
As in you're like month ahead, and I kind of see it, and I'm like, whoa, that must be knackering. Like you got so much. It's wicked. That must be a really great feeling, right?
It is. Well, it's my job, innit? So I think I have to hustle because I've got money. I've got to pay my fucking rent and shit. Yeah. So I think that's the thing where a lot of people, when they hold down a normal job and then they do creative stuff and they really want to pursue it and they're like, oh, I don't know. I'm just like, just do it. Take the risk, because you taking the risk and having the financial drop, yes, the first year, maybe 2 years is really hard, but it makes you work harder because you have no other choice. Yeah. Like I have no plan B in it. Like this is what I do. I have to earn money in it. So that's why I'm so busy, and it's great and it's fun, and I'm very creatively stimulated in the minute. But yeah, it's not even like a braggy thing. Like when I put up the post, but I'm just like, you want to come see me? Like, I'm all over the gaff. Like, come see me, innit?
Yeah. When you kind of go around? So you said you're wanting to do like a mini tour with your EP. So I guess because of your comedy, you're pretty well known across the whole country, really. So you can kind of just say, look, I'm coming up and doing my poetry, come along, and like, I mean, people are going to be there.
Well, hopefully, I don't know. It's hard in terms of venues. Like there's so many venues that I could reach out to, but then a lot of them don't accommodate the spoken word thing. Like really? If they're known comedy clubs or whatever, they only do that. I did it before, like when I was trying to find a venue for the launch. I reached out to this club that I play a lot, and they were like, we don't really do that. And I'm like, but it's just an event.
Stage and a mic.
It's a stage and a mic. I'm bringing the audience. I don't understand. Like, it doesn't. Why have you got to use this room purely for comedy? I don't get it.
That is weird,
So I'm not sure how it would go. I'm not going to be arrogant to say, if I put on a tour, then it's going to fucking sell out in like Birmingham.
No,
and
but
shit.
yeah.
But I mean, we'll see. I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
But I guess that's something of an advantage you have against other people who are only into poetry, right? You've got that kind of existing fan base who have already kind of seen your stuff.
Yeah.
So look, I'm so excited to see where the next year takes you.
Thank you, man. Me too.
You've done a lot in this year. Congrats on this EP. It's really, really amazing. Am I right? It's out everywhere, right? People
all
can get
platforms. It's on about 20 different platforms. So yeah, there's no excuse. Download and stream
Callaghan,
it.
Jacob's Ladder. Search it up. Also, I think it's one thing. You've been like pinning up this like the album cover all over the tube. What are you doing? You're a vandal.
Do you know what though? Actually,
that must be so fun.
Oh, do you know? Shout out to Broken Pen and Rebel Simpson. They're the two guys that I've seen do it when they released music. They got these stickers printed and just plastered them everywhere, like, on the steps of Tooting Beck as well. I remember seeing Rebel Simpson, and I bumped into him at a gig, and I was like, "Bro, I see your sticker every fucking day." So I must say it wasn't my original idea. I copied their, but it's been sick because every gig I did, I would like give out stickers. And I'm like, everyone just like stick them up everywhere, all over London, and then people were tagging me like in where they'd stuck them up.
That's a good idea, right? So I'm asking you mainly because word spoken stickers have arrived today.
Oh yes,
and I'm pleased to say you're going to be going home with one.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Honour, right? But maybe that's a good idea. You give them out and then get everyone to tag. I hadn't thought about that.
And do you know what? It's so mad because even like, we're all adults, whatever. People like stickers. They like merch. They like being able to go away with something. So it's like when you give someone a sticker, they're like, "Oh, thanks." Like, I'm not joking. Like, I did a comic once. I was doing this gig in Edinburgh. Pulled my bag out, a load of the stickers fell out, and this comic was like, "What are they?" And I said, "Oh, they're just stickers from my EP. Like, I give them out to people." And she was just like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, mate, are you serious? Like, you're probably that one in a million. Like, trust me. And then another comic came in. And then he asked the same question. I was like, oh, and she was just standing there like that. And I was like, do you want one? He was like, yeah. You know what I mean? I was like, yeah, man. Fuck you, innit? Everyone loves stickers. So, and also it means people do your job for you, innit? So
Yeah.
give me a couple, I'll stick them up.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Look, well, wicked. Look, thank you so much for coming down to Word Spoken.
Thanks
This
for
episode
having
has
me.
been an absolute blessing. Your work is so powerful. The music you've sourced for your tracks is wicked. It sounds really nice. It blends beautifully with your work. So yeah, I'm just really honoured that you came down.
Oh,
honestly,
that means a lot. Thanks for having me, man. It's
Like
been fun.
genuine, like fan. So look, thank you very much. Yeah, so S Callaghan 1.
Yeah, S Callaghan 1.
Make sure you follow that up. Make sure you go and check out the EP. Honestly, it's an absolute banger. And yeah, thank you very much. That's pretty much it. We will see you all next week. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yup. Hey, so that was Word Spoken Podcast from Henry the God. That's not actually part of his name, but you know what it is. Henry, all the way from England with Word Spoken, and that was with featured poet Sarah Callaghan. Thank you for checking it out. You know, we out here, Poetry Podcast, putting all y'all onto spoken word poets from around the world.
International.
Hell yeah.
The Clique International.
Facts.
Be sure to go check them out, subscribe to them. You're obviously fuck with poetry content, so let them know. Go follow them, follow us. Don't forget to hit that notification bell, subscribe, do all of that stuff, y'all. For the culture, for poetry, bless. Stay tuned.